Hi, I'm Megan Baker. This is Influence Her. Janet Abrahamson began the Joy US Foundation knowing that cancer affects so many families and friends. As her life has been touched by cancer, she made it her mission to provide an environment that restores joy through outdoor experiences such as hiking, kayaking, and fishing. Janet is married and has a daughter, Cassidy, and a four-legged son, Avery. Welcome, Janet, and thank you so much for joining us on this platform here today.
Thank you, Megan. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
I want to start off on a personal note. Let's talk about the backstory. What led you to begin Joy? Is it Joy US Foundation, Joy Us Foundation?
It's actually Joy S, which I can actually lead into that with the backstory on how we came up with the name. But no, I appreciate you asking. I feel like everyone inside them has a destiny. It's just a matter of awareness, acceptance, and then action. I've always known that I was meant for something a little bit greater or a greater impact on the community. And after years of volunteering and serving on boards for organizations with cancer patients, I had this in my heart. And part of the reason it was in my heart was because every time I've had a difficult moment in my life, I've gotten outdoors and gotten to the top of a mountain and breathed in the air and just calmed myself and reduced my stress.
Let's dive into the vision for Joyous Foundation. What is your vision, looking forward a couple years from now?
Yes. So as you might imagine, it's taking different shape every day lately. But our actual vision is to create a safe environment for cancer patients and their families to be able to heal together. That's kind of the very tightened up version of our vision. But to expand beyond that, right now we are doing, as you mentioned, outdoor activities with these families, and we actually do a weekend getaway as well. But we are actually, part of our vision is to have our own property in the Adirondacks that is solely dedicated to these families. Because one of the additional toxicities to chemotherapy and treatments is the financial toxicity. And a lot of these families will spend up to 30% of their household income just fighting cancer. And so we want to make sure that those families are able to vacation together for an extended stay that would be free to them, because all of our events are free. So that's what we're doing.
There are, a number of different organizations, across the nation that their mission is to increase awareness, of the different cancers. And there are so many of them. What makes Joyous Foundation different from those other nonprofits?
I'm glad you asked. One of the nice things is that there are a lot of organizations increasing cancer awareness. And so that's a niche that we didn't have to fill. So we don't intend to increase, even though what we're doing increases awareness in general. Our goal is to change the face of cancer survivorship. So we want cancer survivors to enjoy the outdoors, enjoy their families, and heal together. One great example of that is a young couple that attended one of our events. The wife was 30 when she was diagnosed with breast cancer. And what we find is that the entire family gets a diagnosis, even though it's actually one person getting the diagnosis. So this actually, the husband wrote me a letter after the event and said that throughout the whole process, he hasn't been able to see her happy again. Because she was going off with, groups of breast cancer patients and doing dragon boats and, fly fishing and surfing and all these different things, but he wasn't included. And when we included him and he saw how she was thriving as a survivor, he wrote me this beautiful letter. And at the end of it, it said, at the end of the day, I realized that I had survived as well. So, that's our mission is, again, just to change that whole face of cancer survivorship. If people want to talk about their cancer while they're with us and others, they're welcome to, but we don't focus on the cancer. We focus on what they want to do moving forward.
Janet, your parents were great influences in your life. If you will, talk a little bit about your life experience growing up and what was that and what that was like.
Sure. Now this has become an hour-long interview. You brought my parents into it. So I often, and I think on our website too, which is about to launch, we're about to launch a new website. There's a story, a little bit of backstory, that my family has been a big influence on me, especially my parents. Um, my dad, who passed 10 years ago, um, wasn't my parents weren't wealthy, so it wasn't like the philanthropy was, we were just giving hundreds of $1,000s away. Um, we My parents always gave their heart, um, and their love to people, and my father learned early on that a positive attitude could change the world. And so, when you ask someone, how's your day, or how are you, and you never know what you're going to get as an answer. And my father always answered, I never had a bad day. And it always took people off of their, guard, and they would open up and they wanted to know more. And even, he had, several open heart surgeries and hardships in his life. And even in those times, he would say, I never had a bad day, but some were better than others. So, he was an incredible person. And then my mom raised four kids and two generations. I was the second generation child, and she held off her own career until she was in her 40s when she became a nurse, which, you know, being a nurse, hats off to all of them. That's really giving your soul to everyone. And she's 91 and still giving B12 shots to all the old people, as she calls them. Um, but she's an incredibly strong woman. I've been lucky to surround myself with strong women. My daughter is among them. She's incredible. So my parents really instilled in me, again, just a positive attitude, an incredible work ethic, and always give back with whatever you have. Giving back doesn't mean money all the time. It doesn't mean time even. It means, a phone call to someone who's sick, or a hug when somebody needs it, or just a positive comment to someone. So that's where it all started. Again, that is my joy.
Janet, you grew up in the greater Pittsburgh area, as did I. And you mentioned the Adirondacks, and what you're doing as far as getting cancer survivors outdoors and active. How did you choose the Adirondacks of all places?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that. So I did grow up in Pittsburgh, but my father was actually transferred when I was a teenager to upstate New York. So I found my home up here, as well as, the Pittsburgh area is beautiful as well. But in my opinion, there's nothing like the Adirondacks. So um, I kind of grew up through my teens, going to different places in the Adirondacks. And since I've lived in the Saratoga area, I've spent a ton of time, Lake George and beyond, up into the Adirondacks, hiking and kayaking and doing whatever we can outdoors. So that's how I transitioned up to here.
Janet, thank you. We are switching gears to what is called Baker's Dozen, 13 rapid questions and brief answers from you, just to give us a little bit more insight into who you are. So we are going to begin with the first question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, what is your life motto in a short sentence?
Oh, goodness. I would say live each day to the fullest.
What is your favorite Adirondack spot?
Um, Bald Mountain.
What's one goal you set for the year?
Oh, one goal for the year. Oh, goodness. Survive COVID.
Yeah, I think a lot of us could say that. What is your favorite peak you've hiked?
My favorite peak I've hiked, actually, I've never done any of the high peaks, believe it or not. So I would say my favorite peak is probably Rocky Point in Inlet, New York.
Do you have a favorite piece of art in your house? If so, what is it?
It's a picture of downtown Saratoga.
What is the last dream you remember?
Oh, goodness. Okay, so it's funny because we're on Teams right now. It was that I missed an important Teams meeting for work. I slept right through it. So there
You
you
know,
go. COVID
I
dreams
did
for you.
I did the same thing the other night where I woke up and I thought it was 12:30 the next day. So I can relate. What is one trait you would hope to pass on to the next generation?
Kindness.
Best local tubing.
Best local tubing. Well, can I go with snow tubing?
Of course.
Okay, so
That counts.
West Mountain.
West
West Mountain
Mountain.
snow tubing.
What is the biggest fish you've caught?
It's I just caught a 5-pound bass. I'm happy about that. Yeah.
Congrats, that's awesome. Who do you look up to the most?
My mom.
Favorite lake in the Adirondacks?
Racket Lake.
And I had to look this up. There's 3,000 lakes in the Adirondacks. Never knew
So
that.
you asked me such an easy question, you see. Racket.
I know. So this question is from our previous guest. What keeps you going every morning?
Um, the first thing I do in the morning is I take a walk, either with my dog, who's been very stubborn lately, or just on my own. And just getting out the very first thing, seeing the sunrise, keeps me going the whole day.
You get the opportunity to ask our next guest the next question. So what is the question that you want to know?
All right. I would ask the next guest, what brings them joy?
That's such a fair question with Joy in the foundation name. So Jana Abrahamson of the Joy Us Foundation, it has been such a pleasure getting to know you. I wish you continued success. And thank you so much for your time here on Influence Her.
Thank you so much, Megan. I appreciate it.
Thank you.